Hello 1009, welcome back from spring break. We're into week 9, and this week we're going to be focusing on really genetic technologies. So we're going to start by looking at how viruses work and how genes are transferred between bacteria, because these processes, or these viruses and this transfer of material between bacteria, is really the foundation of how we do genetic engineering today. So we've basically taken the tools that already existed in nature for viruses to copy themselves, or for bacteria to share genetic material with each other, and modified that, or taken advantage of that to build the biotechnology tools we use today for things like cloning, things like genetic engineering, making genetically modified organisms, and things like gene therapy. All of that's rooted in natural processes and natural mechanisms that exist in nature for transferring DNA between one individual to another, and so we've just kind of co-opted that. And that's what you're going to be looking at today. So, Chapter 15, Virus Biology, Bacterial Transfer of Information. Chapter 16, they really get into the biotechnology that underlines cloning, that underlines how we make transgenic plants, GMO plants, stem cells, why stem cells are important cells for the generation of genetically modified organisms. They're particularly resilient to sort of modifications we make to them. And then the idea of gene therapy, actually treating an individual by modifying their current existing genomes, as opposed to changing the genome of a gamete or an embryo before it actually develops. Gene therapy is actually treating a fully developed individual. So that's the focus for the week. It's a busy week. We have the reading quiz, the Learn Smart activities. We have the homework. We have the, getting confused. You have the Learn Smart activities. You have the homework. You have the quiz. Then you have 2 lab assignments. So you're starting one of the major labs in this course, and that's going to be looking at plant tropism. So plant tropism is how plants respond to physical stimuli by physically growing either away from or towards that stimulus. You might have done this in high school, but a classic experiment is to cover the tip of a newly germinated corn seed with a bit of tinfoil and watch how it tries to grow towards light, but it can't sense the light, so it grows all willy-nilly. You'll be doing something similar, but you're going to be looking at you're going to be coming up with your own stimulus. So you could look at the effects of light, you can look at the effects of, say, physical touch, you could look at the effects of temperature, whatever you want to look at. You're going to try to design an experiment that tests how plants respond to that stimulus by physically growing. This is different than plants responding to a stimulus by, say, having reduced nutrient content, like not watering them. So you're not doing an experiment where you're like changing fertilizer levels or you're changing water growth. That's not what you're interested in. You're interested in the plants actually physically responding to some sort of physical stimulus, okay? If you're confused about what tropism is, please reach out. I can give you a little better explanation. There's a pretty thorough explanation in the lab manual, so start there. But I'm happy to help provide further information if it's confusing. So for this week, you're doing the task 1 has 2 assignments. The first one is to submit an experimental design worksheet. You're doing that individually, your own experiment this time, no group help. The second one is to submit a picture of you actually having started to germinate the seeds. These seeds take a little bit of time to get going, so please start that as soon as possible. And then finally, to round it off, you have your second exam. Exam 2 runs from March 25th to, March 25th to April 3rd. Same as last time, you have 10 days to complete it. It's chapters 9 through 16. Give yourself enough time to complete the exam before the actual deadline of 11:55 p.m. If you have any questions, please reach out to me or Lindsay. Otherwise, have a good week, guys.